Okay, thanks very much to Adam and the startups. We're getting close to the end. The next piece that we have is some pictures similar to what we saw in the morning of the navigation technology track. I mentioned that earlier that the navigation finalists are not actually competing today, they're just showing off. They'll give a sense of what it is that their technologies are all about. Their real competition, though, happens in October. So let me invite up, sorry about this, I forgot the names of some of our startups. We've just got so many of them today. Actually, we'll start with Colonel Lior Pinsler, who's head of the C4I division at Mafat and is the main sponsor and organizer of the Urban Navigation Challenge, to say a few words about the challenge and how that works. And then we'll see the pictures of the navigation startups. Colonel Pinsler, thanks. Can they immediately look to me?
If you've ever watched a kind of dystopian sci-fi movie, you'll know that the future of the planet is basically one enormous city. And that's why urban warfare is so en vogue. Wars are no longer going to be held across large plains with two armies approaching. It's going to be sporadic, and it's going to be in complicated...
זה עובד או שגם לא?
זה לא קשור, זה ההתחלה.
Okay, so good afternoon everybody. I'm very glad to be here and to give you a short briefing after solving all the technological challenges, to give you a short briefing on our Urban Navigation Challenge. We'll begin with a short clip that illustrates the challenges that we are facing, and afterwards we'll continue the briefing.
If you've ever watched a kind of dystopian sci-fi movie, you'll know that the future of the planet is basically one enormous city. And that's why urban warfare is so en vogue. Wars are no longer going to be held across large plains with two armies approaching. It's going to be sporadic, and it's going to be in complicated, scary urban situations. As warfare moves into urban settings, conventional armies have struggled as insurgent forces utilize the density and irregularities of the city as a defensive terrain. After all, a traditional army can't march through tiny streets, and as such, much of their battlefield power is negated. In Israel, conflict is an almost everyday occurrence. Battles with enemies like Hezbollah and Hamas were fought along the lines of traditional military combat, with heavy casualties on both sides. That was until the Second Intifada in 2002, where Israelis fought in Nablus, redefining the very battlefield of war by using urban warfare combat techniques to take the city.
Okay, so as we saw, and I hope we got in the right mood, we have a lot of challenges in this field, in the urban navigation. Actually, as you have seen in the clip, the urban scenario has its own challenges by itself, by its structures. We have to cope with the problems of localization due to the non-line of sight environment, and of course we have to cope with the overcoming multipath effects. So this is a complicated starting point. When we are, please help me with the slides. No? The other direction? Okay. When we are talking about the urban warfare, on top of the urban environment itself, we are facing a few more challenges. First of all, we assume, and this is a pretty trivial assumption nowadays, that the urban battlefield is subjected to GNSS jamming effects, of course. We also have to take into consideration the unique movement of the soldier. I'm talking about running, crawling, and so on. So combining together the challenges of the urban environment by itself, plus the urban warfare, it's a really tough thing that we are investing a lot in order to find solution to cope with this challenge. Click. The need for precise location are pretty well known, and there are a lot of examples. We can see here some just use cases. Of course, we need precise location for search and rescue missions, for command and control, preventing friendly fire, and a lot of more applications. When we are looking at the solution dimension, we actually want to find something that really works and is robust. So we are talking about robustness in every field, but here, when you understand the importance of having a precise location, so really to have a continuous and a robust solution is a must-have. You have to take this into consideration also when offering us some of the solutions. Of course, we are looking for outdoor accuracy. We mentioned here just the up to 6 meters. It comes from the representative number of the width of alley of a lane in an urban area. And of course, we want to have indoor localization capabilities in order to know where the soldier is, in which building, at which floor, etc. So these are the basic system requirements when we are talking about the solution in this field. About the technological trends that we are facing and we are also interested in, we can identify various directions, various trends in the solution. Here there are a few examples just in order to have the feeling. We are talking about improved dead reckoning using relative simple sensors like accelerometers, gyros, magnetometers, and so on. And by combining them, all the measurements with advanced fusion techniques, we can achieve good results. Another concept, another approach is what we call the cooperative navigation technique. The idea here is that the soldier does not move alone in the urban environment. He is part of a squad, and by knowing and measuring the relative position between the squad components, we can get some solutions in this field. The third one, and I'm going clockwise, the third solution is based on imaging algo. It is pretty self-explanatory, I think. The idea is to use here some imaging analytics in order to navigate based on these assets. The SOP is another well-known field that has good chances to be a candidate for solutions. The idea here is to use some infrastructure like Wi-Fi, cellular, and so on. And after mapping all these assets and building actually a strength map, we can locate our soldier within an environment. The last one is beacon-based navigation. Is pretty similar to the signal of opportunity, but here the idea is that we have some assets that are pre-deployed, some dedicated beacons that we know their exact location, we know the protocol, and by measuring these parameters, we can locate better the position of the soldier itself. Actually, the middle one is the most interesting one, is what we call the sensor fusion. At the end of the day, we believe that the solution will not be based just on a unique trend, but the sensor fusion will bring us the best of breed, and this is also the idea that we are aiming to. So these are just few trends. Of course, there are more innovative ideas, and we hope that we'll see some good ideas during this process. Click. A word about our approach for urban navigation. After reassessing how to proceed with this challenge, we understood that a lot of knowledge exists in the civilian world, and I'm not surprising you. You are very aware of the solutions that are being developed for malls, indoors, universities, mines, and so on. So the idea is to look at these solutions and to try to adapt them and to customize them to the military environment. Actually, when we are looking at our traditional contracting processes, and I'm referring to RFIs, RFPs, submitting tenders, and so on, the military old good ways of contracting, we understand that they might not be suited for such a challenge, and actually they fail to provide the urgent need. So we're very glad to find this platform and the CTTSC contest as a right vehicle in order to initiate such a competition. And actually there is a platform also for us to be exposed to what happens in the civilian market and what are the technological achievements there, and also for the companies to engage with the military scenario, the military customers' needs, and I hope that I'm pretty sure there will be a win-win situation. So this is the background for our going to such a new approach in comparison to the past, where we conducted some legacy way of contracting and searching for solutions. Next. A few words about the challenge itself. So we were surprised, or actually not surprised. We hope that this is the situation. We got many applications, many solutions. 97 companies submitted some proposals, some ideas worldwide from 10 nationalities. After a long process of evaluation and really going deep technically and understand each solution, we have chosen 13 finalists to demonstrate the solution in the next phase in what we call the urban training facility, and I'll describe it in the next slide. The finalists, of course, presented a variety of technologies, part of them, as I described in the previous slide, but there are also other ideas. And as I said, there is going to be a demonstration and a real testing in a real facility in October 21st to 25th this year. This is the challenge, and of course, in the last day, on October 25th, we'll also announce the winner. So this is the short description of the process itself. A few words about the test facility. We invested a lot of effort. I refer Mafat together with the services in order to build a representing facility. Something that is representing the real, as much as we can, the real environment, something that is operationally representative. The challenge will take place in Mala. It's part of the Terrorism facility in the south part of Israel. As I said, we invested a lot in order to simulate a real environment. So the playground will consist of narrow alleys, walking inside and through buildings. Of course, we'll try to simulate operational movement, as I mentioned in my first or second slide, running, crawling, and so on. And of course, we're investing a lot in order to simulate a GNSS jammed arena. There is a short clip from the facility itself. You can see here some preparations that we have done. You can see here let's take a look, and I think it will be self-explanatory. Just the movement of our soldiers going through the alleys, going inside, outside, trying to move in an operational way. So this film is real. It was taken at the facility itself. You can have the impression. Next slide, please. Of course, we have established some waypoints, some predefined waypoints, and the evaluation of each team will be done according to its performance. We are trying, of course, to evaluate the outdoor location accuracy, horizontal, vertical. We are referring to actually when we are referring to the accuracy, we are actually talking about the Euclidean distance between the measured points, the estimated points, and the predefined points. The same we are doing for the indoor location. We want, as I say, to be able to locate precisely the soldier in which building he is, at which floor, etc. And the last bullet is also very important. We are going also to evaluate the continuity and the robustness of the solution, because as I mentioned in the beginning of my briefing, this is one of the key points. So this is a short description of the evaluation method. Of course, there will be technical people who will get all the data and try to make this process efficient and to converge to the time frame of the competition itself, and at the last day to announce the winner. Just to sum up, I think there's a very new approach that we are having in this field. It's a pioneer approach because we believe that this is the way to proceed in this field. As I said, the urban navigation is a very crucial part. We understand it is a very crucial part in the modern battlefield in general, and in our battlefield in Israel particularly. Many technological challenges yet to be solved. There are some areas that are not conquered yet, but I believe that we have the potential together to overcome them. The idea, as I said, is to leverage the novel technologies from the civilian market and to bring them and to customize them in order to meet the operational goals of the military world. This is the combination that we are aiming to have, and we hope, I believe, that we'll get some great results in October. Just before the end of the presentation, I really want to thank first of all CYBERWEEK as a platform for collaboration and also enabling us to establish such a competition. I want to thank our teams that invested a lot in order such a competition to happen. I want to thank all the participants and of course to wish best of luck to the 13 finalists, and we'll meet at CYBERWEEK in October. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll now start seeing the pictures of the urban navigation finalists. Starting with, okay, come on up. Now we're doing something really horrible to these people. We've given them each 3 minutes. to give a short overview of what they've got. The other guys got 6 minutes, but again, that was their competition. So good luck.
Thanks, Gideon.
Great.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Can we bring on the slide, please? My name is Yoav Banit. I'm CTO of Division Systems. We have developed what we call the I2NS, Image Inertial Navigation System, that was designed for GPS denied, a low-cost navigation system designed for GPS denied areas. And we've been working with the Mafat for the past 4 years developing the system. Currently, the solution, for example, for GPS denied areas for ground vehicles, for example, is based on inertial navigation units, inertial navigation systems. These are expensive systems, especially for infantry, and they have about 1% drift error. And the I2NS, in contrast to these systems, is using a combination, an integration, a sensor fusion of image processing from a single video camera together with the low-cost IMU to provide the navigation solution. Now, as far as we know, it is the only off-the-shelf available navigation system that is based on image processing of a single, or a video from a single camera. There is a lot of academic work that has been done about it, but again, as far as we know, that is the only off-the-shelf available system. The system is not using any existing database of the environment. We don't have footage, existing footage of the location where we're going to be navigating, and it is therefore very suitable to operate in indoor environments, outdoor environments, subterranean environments, and any unknown surroundings. What you can see here on the right-hand side is an example from a subterranean environment that we have done over the past few years. You can see the 3D cloud of point that the system is generating and the position of the camera or the platform in cyan. Can you please play the video? Okay, what you see here is an example of the navigation system actually working. So that is the kind of videos that we're working with. It can be from IR, it can be from day cameras, and on the right you can see GPS reference on a map as well as the image processing solution, and you can see that they are very well together. So thank you very much for the opportunity of the exposure for the CTTSC team, and good luck to everyone.
Thanks, Gideon. Yeah, thank you. So thanks, Gideon. Thanks, everybody, organizers, for including us in this opportunity to participate in this challenge. I'm Paul Samanant from Honeywell. I actually grew up, I went to high school here in Israel, and so any opportunity to return to events like this and the challenge makes me happy. So first slide. So I'm with the Advanced Technology Group, and we've participated in many of the approaches that were aforementioned, whether it's boot model, camera, laser vision, GNSS. And our approach that we're settled on, the one that we're bringing to this challenge, is what we call it was previously called GPS Denied Surface Navigator. It's an all-purpose tactical surface navigator that you could put on multi-purpose. You could put it on a canine unit, you could put it on a soldier, a vehicle, a legged robot, a wheeled robot. It's inertial based. As you know, we're an inertial company. We use HC 1930 IMU, and that's the basis for the navigation. And that's built on aided by GPS when available, but we use Doppler radar as our key aiding thing. Doppler gives a velocity measurement to the system and balances our inertial error drift. We also use a barometer as well. And we actually can accept radio signals, but our solution is infrastructure free. We feel that ours is robust to non-standard motions, crawling, jumping, and you don't have to put anything on your shoe. And for the vehicle, you know, it's resistant to vehicle slips. So we feel this is a very robust, and it performs at a high, we call it tactical grade level, from about 0.5% to 3%, depending on the trajectory. Next slide, please. So I won't go through all these. We don't have a product that's an advanced prototype, but it is fairly robust. It's IP67, handles a temperature range, has features for memory I/O, and the battery life is about 3 hours, and we can extend it. I see the time is moving along, so let's go to the next slide. Just a picture with some of the features. Over here you see the two Doppler radars. There's two that point out an angle, and it measures, you know, the motion over the ground, which is the aid, and then there's some other interface. So next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, and as far as the testing goes, the legacy of this came from underwater navigation. This was a DARPA program that we did about a decade ago, and where we used DVL underwater, you know, Doppler, again, to aid the same thing, a tactical grade HE 1930. From then we went to a program for the USDA, Department of Homeland Security, and it was for emergency responders. And we actually in that phase used ultra wideband and things, but we found that just the headaches of, you know, radio signals going through structures. Oh, my time's up. Okay, so let's quickly see the next slide. I think that's, yeah, so that's the legacy through the thing, and my time is up, so I think I'll probably wrap up. That was a fast 3 minutes. Yep.
Incidentally, all of these products and presenters are also exhibiting upstairs, so at cocktail hour, make sure to get a few more minutes with each of them.
Hi, I'm George O, founder of Parabot. We are an early stage startup based out of Silicon Valley. And what I invented was a Wi-Fi radar, what I call a Wi-Fi radar, and also a coin-sized Wi-Fi tag. And we're using a radar app to demonstrate the capability. So here we're using commercial-grade technology. We can do military-grade AES encryption using off-the-shelf hardware. It's bidirectional. The radar can detect where the Wi-Fi tag is, or the Wi-Fi tag can detect where the radar is and remain radio silent. In future iterations, we're going to deploy higher frequencies to get even more immunity to jamming. Currently, it's already very immune to jamming because of the highly directional nature of it. So I'm going to show you what goes on inside. So this is a very high directional design. And what it does is it creates a highly directional beam that sweeps 5 times per second. And we're able to get 10 kilometers line of sight range with this solution. Because it's so directional, the 10 kilometers might get cut down 10 times or 100 times because of wall penetration. But you know, even if you divide it by 100, it's still a very usable 100-meter range in dense urban environments. So how are we going to use this solution is to do triangulation. And we get, it's very simple to deploy. We can just put a few in the corner of the location that you want to light up. We can also do redundant path and reflection correction. It's small enough to be vehicle mounted, so you can just park a car in the corner of the battlefield. It can also be, it's drone mounted because it's small and light. And of course it can be permanently mounted on a pole with solar powered and completely wireless. So right now we're just a very early stage startup. It's just me and my brother. We splitting the duties right now, and let me just show you a quick demonstration of early prototype. So here, we have the radar in operation. I'm carrying the red tag, and there is a green tag sitting on the light pole. If this video can play at full motion. Unfortunately, it's going extra slow motion right now for some reason on this computer. But anyhow, it's to show off the high angular resolution. I'm walking towards the light pole and the other tag. Normally, it's actually going 4 times faster, but for some reason, it's just playing back 4 times slower. Anyway, we can fast forward this. Looks like it's playing at 1/8 speed right now for some reason on this computer. But anyways, as I approach the tag, you will see me standing 1 foot away from the light pole, and you can see that I'm standing on the left and the other tag is on the right. And this shows extremely high angular resolution. If we ever get there in the next 5 years. But this is actually just a 3-second video that's somehow being dragged out to a minute. Could you fast forward the video manually with your mouse so that we can kind of, like a little bit towards the end? Yeah, right there. So even though I'm standing like literally 1 feet away from the tag, go back a little bit, please. Maybe to about here. So even though I'm standing 1 foot away from the tag, you see I'm carrying the red tag, and it's showing very, very high angular resolution. And that's one of the key selling points of this. And we've also tested this system through many walls, and we still get to achieve the same kind of angular resolution. So I guess my time is up. All right. Thank you very much.
Hello everybody, can you hear me? Yes, thank you. My name is Amotz. I'm from CYBERWEEK Technologies. I will present to you a project. It's actually a birth project between us and a company from California named Optoknowledge. This project is sponsored by the Department of Homeland Security and the Israeli Ministry of Public Security. So, okay. So do you know what's in common with first responder and students? Anybody knows? Have a clue? Okay, so I'll tell you. It's an active shooter. So our mission is to locate an active shooter in in an environment without GPS signal, right? We're doing it with campuses, safe cities, and everyone in need. Well, exactly like you mentioned, we believe that the solution have to be fusions of sensors, but not also, because we're also using cameras as machine vision, and we're using RF signal. So when the first responders come to an area, he might not have a vision, he might not have an RF signals, he might not have the IMU. So we're creating a hybrid solution, and we're building it, and we hope that it will become a product in 2019. Our current first project is in the Weizmann Institute, a safe campus, also indoor. I will jump with some slides just to show you how it looked like. But as I mentioned, there's all this sensors fusion in real time that we're using. So the battery is a little bit weak from all the presentation, so click. Sorry? Okay. Okay, so take us to the video slide, please. play the first video. This is how the machine sees the indoor environment. You can see it in a point cloud 3D. Next one. So as I told you, we're using for first responders. We can build it on the chest cam or on the smartphone device. When the device is completely locked, you don't need to open it, you don't need to use an app. Next slide, please. This is play it for 10 seconds. This is the 3D, how the computer generates it in real time. Now, what you can see is once we create the image, the 3D image or the point cloud, the accuracy is centimeters and not meters anymore. So if you have the machine vision, we can make it centimeters accuracy. Next one, please. That's in 2D when we have the floor map. Person walking, and in real time, it can adjust his path or trail in real time. So these capabilities are required for first responders. This capability can stop an active shooter while in progress. In a school, we can narrow the time it takes to stop him, because if we know where he is, and I can explain how, but we'll leave it for another session. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you very much.
Okay. Clicker's working?
Should be, but pointed at the computer up there.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nir Yaniv. I'm the head of Defense Division for Trackcase Technologies. Trackcase Technologies is all about human enhancements and situational awareness. We target three major verticals. One of them is the outdoor industry. The second one is the vehicle industry, and the third one is the military industry or the defense industry. Our mission is to enable people to thrive, meaning surviving, coping, and enjoying any situation or context, no matter how intensive it may be and where other technologies fail. In operational reality, our operators they have problems, they face issues in basic human limitations in three different levels. One of them is that the human brain cannot process two sounds instructions at the same time, just creates an overlap in the brain. The second one is that the human brain cannot process movement and visual instructions at the same time. It's just too much for the brain to grasp. And the third one is that navigation, unlike in birds, is not organic. And without GPS, people and ECUs are literally lost. On top of that, if you put stress, either objective or subjective, an overload of applications, everything I just said is amplified. Therefore, our solution is a new technology based on hardware and software. Our hardware solution is the Trackcase Core, is a wearable tactile monitors. It transformed traditional way of communication, meaning visual or sound communication, into intuitive, rich, tactile language. Over here you can see some of our clients, a Special Forces unit, using the tactile device on their hands for navigation. Next. The software that we developed is a new breed of application. Together with the hardware solution we provide, it creates an actual app store. Sorry. Very difficult. It provides an organic, like operational sphere effectiveness sphere, not only air, sea, and land, but also indoor, underground, and eventually underwater. These are some of the applications we developed: navigation app, the micro management for team, and other APIs we develop for other companies as well. The advanced navigation software, I'm just going to try and run it. Can you open the entire slide completely? Just click on it all the way down. Thank you. The advanced application is a GPS, non-GPS navigation mapping and situational awareness app. It's a self-reliant application. There's no need for external nodes. It's algorithm-driven. It's not inertial. It's installed on any standard Android device. No proprietary hardware or add-ons is required. Provide 3D mapping and navigation. It's more accurate than GPS-based navigation, only up to 1% from your last waypoint. It takes 8 to 15 minutes of personalization, and it allows you also an option for extraction point, waypoint as magnets. You can map and share with your peers the route that you created. As you can see over here, a recorded route transformed into a navigational route sent to peers to follow you. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Good afternoon. My name is Matt Lowe. I'm founder of a company called ZeroKey. ZeroKey's developed an indoor positioning technology. It's a little different than some of the other ones we heard about today. And we actually developed it for virtual reality. One of the unique challenges of virtual reality is that you have to be extremely accurate. You can't have things that are perhaps even centimeter level error because people in VR get quite sick. So the challenges are to deliver this kind of accuracy, you have to be almost on the millimeter level. And that's exactly what we've done. Perfect. Using a beacon technology that we developed, it's actually this guy right here in my hand. It's roughly the size of a quarter, and it costs about $3. Using this technology, we are able to achieve millimeter level accuracy for indoor positioning scenarios. This is basically, the thickness of your thumbnail. We can position very precisely in indoor environments, in urban environments, with the caveat that you have to have this little sensor. Now, this opens the door for a number of applications. The way we often describe it is we are bridging the gap between the digital world that you hold in the palm of your hand in your phone and the real world that you have to live in every day. This really opens the door. It's a gateway technology for all sorts of augmented reality scenarios where now your technology is intelligently responding to what not just what you're doing, but what your intent is. Things that it can surmise from the fact that you may be at a certain location, you may be moving at a certain speed, but having that accuracy to know precisely what you're doing, it opens up these world of possibilities. And I'll show you just a couple quick videos. So one of the things, maybe if we could, perfect. So one of the applications of this is actually human-machine interface, and this is one of our demo products. So this is all raw data, hasn't been post-processed or anything like that. It comes right out of the system, straight to the video. So it's millimeter level indoor positioning using these little sensors. The entire solution is about $30 for that kit there. I'll show you one other quick video in VR. This is a little drawing application. So again, 6 degrees of freedom, positional tracking. We're tracking orientation and position 3D, and it's roughly 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. In certain ideal cases, you can even get sub-millimeter level accuracy. This is running all wirelessly, battery powered. This little guy in my hand runs off a coin cell battery. So it's really, really, really low power. It's actually, the chip is designed for beacons. So I'm out of time. I won't run through all the applications, but thanks for listening, and good luck to all the other contestants.
I guess there can't be anyone after zero key, so great. So that's the end of our program here today. We have one more. Oh, sorry about that. I figured Z was as far as we.
Okay. Okay. It's another Z. It's the last Z. Okay. My name is Robert Zickel. I worked about 25 years at Rafael and then 15 years in my own company doing this kind of things. How do you change it? Next slide. Okay, here we talk about navigation, personal navigation. We are talking about a stepping system that can be used on people that are walking. They should be a little bit cooperative. We calibrate it using GPS, and then we use adaptation of the gate size by deep learning. And basically, we study for each person, and if he decides to dance samba, so we can say if he is a good dancer or not, but it won't be a good navigation issue. We looked at it, at this issue. Next slide, please. We looked about this issue for a few years. As you see, we have done it already with iPhone. That was a few years ago. We also developed a calibration system to calibrate the phone sensors to get better results. And next slide, please. As a demo for the system, please run the movie. As a demo for the system, we mapped the labyrinth of IKEA. I guess everybody knows it. Okay. You'll be able to see it in our site. I think that it's not working here, but what you can see that this was done just by walking alone on the store, and using the camera later on just to figure out what do you see at each point of the trajectory. You see that basically, since we are using high quality sensors for the IMU, you get very good orthogonality of the trajectory, and you can see also that we've got almost to the same point that we entered. You see that it was a relatively long trajectory, about more than 10 minutes, and adding to the system, to the barometric sensor and the IMUs, adding Doppler provide us same results almost as with the IMU, and we are talking here about a standalone unit that gets about 3% of the trajectory itself, or the trajectory length. Next slide. A little bit about our team. Our team is combined of professionals that covers different time up. Okay. Thank you for listening. And if you go 5 seconds, all the other slides. Can you go? Okay, this is the way we work. It's skunkworks method. Go ahead. And go ahead. You see that we cover a lot of areas, and navigation is one of the main. Thank you.
Is there any more Zs that I've forgotten? Okay. So that brings us to the end of the program. We're running somewhat late, and there's the alcohol's getting cold upstairs. So let me get through the next bit as quickly as possible. Let me start off by calling up Dudi Rocker of the Mirage Foundation, who will say a few words about the prize that 2 startups are going to be getting today. What's up to you, Lecha?
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon again. My name is Dudi. I'm the head of the Homeland Security program of Mirage Institute. A little bit about the institute. It's established by Paul and Lily Mirage from California, and it's committed to promote trade and economic growth between Israel and the United States. We accomplished this through a number of innovative programs in 4 sections: on Homeland Security, media, food tech, and medical. Our program, taking help by the best professors and academic people from United States, and also respected CEOs from the industry. And it's focused on taking the Israeli startup to United States, trying to learn about the ecosystem in United States, a lot of things that we spoke before on the panels. And at the end, we are aiming to help the people and the organization, the startup, to work in the industry section. As part of the cooperation with CTTSO and Mafat, we decided to grant 2 scholarship participation in the program, and the choice were made by the audience and the VC panel that we've made in the morning. So the 2 companies are DID and CardioScale. DID is by the VCs, the panel of the VCs, and CardioScale that's selected by the audience. Thank you very much.
Now, of all of the companies who picked CardioScale, we will pick one. We'll get dinner for 2 at the new Aviv Tour. Somebody's trying to talk to something? Okay, thanks. We will now pick one of the cards one of the audience members who picked CardioScale for the dinner for 2 at the new Avi Biton restaurant. Ella, would you like to pick a card? And try to get one of someone who's in the hall. And use the microphone, else I'll shout at you too.
Is there a Hugh McMillan in the audience? There you go.
Okay. Well then, Hugh, I hope you like good food. And please come find us afterwards and we'll set you up with it. Okay, that's basically it. I would like to now call up Adam Tarsi to take over the final award ceremony.
You're going to call up all the individual companies after I get the general up here?
Yeah, well, should I call him? Okay, I thought you were.
It's Senator Lieberman down here.
He's supposed to be.
Okay.
Maybe he's on his way.
Okay, before I bring up our final presenters, since I've got captive audience, I want to make sure we thank all of the people that participated in it. We had 55 judges across both countries. That's an extraordinary amount. It goes to show you the quality of the submission. So first, we thank all the companies, the 200 plus companies that submitted solutions to this challenge. That's the whole point of this. It's the giant flashlight. We want to see what innovation is taking place around the world, but obviously focused on Israel. Without that, we wouldn't be here. The judges help us cull through all 200 submissions to determine which appear to be the most interesting to our operational customers. Some of them flew over with us to do a final round of testing. Jason and Daryl and Lou, among others, that came over from the US, all of our Israeli finalist judges. that help us determine of these 10 great submissions which one we want to give cash money to. In addition to that, Roy, Perry, Shana for actually making all of this happen, Michael, Gideon, and Ela from InMill and from MIT. It's a big effort. They have teams that support it as well, but I want to say thank you from me to all of them for allowing the event to take place. So to help us present the awards and to give them a chance to make a couple of remarks, representing Danny Gold from Mafat is Brigadier Nir Halamish, and representing the United States government and the ambassador is Colonel John Kenkel. If you guys can come up to the stage, and when you get a chance to speak, I'll also bring up Senator Lieberman and ask that you shake hands and present the awards. General Halamish.
Hello.
Good to see you.
How are you? Good to see you.
Good. Thank you.
Ah, here or here?
Either.
Either us. Okay. Oh. First of all, get the apologize from Brigadier General Danny Gold for unexpected operational constraint. He was supposed to be here, but you know how it's work in Israel. It can coming every second. From the Israeli side, it's the third time that we participate. We co-host in this competition with our friends from the United States, CTSO. Of course, familiar faces. We are working during the years to bring the best technology capabilities and cope our challenges, mutual challenges. I think that Israel is one of the biggest, let's say, biggest vector in Israel is the startups companies. We have a lot of ideas, a lot of innovation, a lot of operational requirements. So if you're gathering all together in one place, you will get the best place to find the new solutions or the new rising technological vectors. From the DDR&D, we're finding this community as one of the most useful and most fruitful from our side to cope all the rising challenges. Let's take the last one in Gaza with the kites and all the other challenges that we cope with. We find the solutions less than 1 month. I know it's look very similar to cope with one kite with that's going to be flew over Gaza to Israel, but it's very, very hard to get the full capability in less than 1 month, and we find ourselves try to find a solution in among our startup company. Here we had almost 150 startup companies, and of course I just have the time to visit some of the companies or some of the startups, and I found a lot of brilliant idea. Of course, there is a long way from moving from brilliant idea to operational capability, and we are in the DDR&D willing to take the mutual challenge to do it together with the startup companies. Of course, we have the next challenge is the urban navigation challenge that we see it as one of the major challenge if you want to cope with the urban terrain challenge. It's going to be part of the exercise that we are going to take around October, and I'm sure that we got a lot of innovative ideas, and from there we will take the best one to an operational capabilities. So thank you for all of you that you help us to complete or to have the ideas of those challenging requirements. And from our side, of course, I want to thank Perry. He is our man, and of course Roy and Ron. All three of them help us to bring the innovation from the startup companies to the DDR&D. Although we are working for the government, and sometimes the governments look to the startups companies as something that it's untouchable. You know, you cannot reach to the DDR&D. I'm sure that along the years we find the way to have a better engagement with the startup companies, and I encourage all of the startup companies for this challenge and for the other challenges to have a discussion with us, and together we will bring new ideas to new capabilities. Thank you all.
So this is one of the fun things that Army Attaché gets to do is represent Ambassador Friedman. As Deputy Minister Oren said, as some of you know in this room, the relationship between Israel and the U.S., especially in the security industries, is extremely broad, extremely deep in a lot of niche areas. Most of you can only guess that. Some of you in this room actually know that from personal experience. It's also an honor here to represent Secretary Mattis in that relationship. And it's really fun because when I came in the Army 35 years ago, back as I was a simple paratrooper, I couldn't even spell GPS. And everything we did was on a map. Our precision navigation and timing was maybe a Casio watch and an analog compass. And look at how far we've come. We get a lot of credit when we're wearing uniform about, you know, thank you for your service, thank you for your bravery, all that other kind of stuff. But there's another kind of bravery out here with all of these competitors. You know, our soldiers, airmen, Navy, sailors and Marines put their lives on the line, but you folks out here that are representing people putting everything on the line. You're investing your hearts, your souls, you're giving up family time, you're giving up your personal savings, possibly your kids' futures, to develop some kind of technology that may or may not work. And to me, that's exceedingly courageous, and that's kind of a courage that I don't have. I've been on the government dole for 35 years, always with the constant paycheck, always being able to send money home to my wife and son. So I would like a big round of applause for the courage of all these innovative technicians who are working out of their, literally, some of them working out of their parents' garage, like the Apple startups, and hopefully we're going to come to something big that is going to save soldiers' lives in the future. So thank you very much. And this is also a great honor because as my representation is with the U.S. Army, and I get to deal with Major General Kobe Barak quite often, and every time I come to him I say, I want to expand the military-to-military relationship on the ground forces because there are things here in Israel that are going to give capabilities and capacities to the Army and ground forces commanders of the future, and are going to save soldiers' lives in the future. So we already talked about trophy as being one of those, and I'm here to find out what is the next trophy that we are working on together. And we constantly have a flood of senior Army officers coming in. Deputy Minister Oren, when he mentioned about the strategic relationship, what I want to talk a little bit about is specifically the ground forces. So two things that he missed that have just happened. A week and a half ago, we brought in the head of a 4-star general, head of training and doctrine command. He's the guy that designs all of the future capabilities for the Army and trains all of our soldiers from private to general on all kinds of capacities. A 4-star general, we only have a couple of them in the Army, and about 20 general officers from all of the heads of all of our schools, our infantry school, our artillery school, our intel school. And this is a relationship that started in 1973. After the 1973 war, the U.S. Army came here invited by the IDF to learn lessons on how we can help defeat Soviet-based forces in doctrine and equipping. From that, we developed the air-land concept, which we implemented in Europe. And actually, it was that concept that went in 1990 and defeated the Iraqi army. So tangible benefits on the relationship from my point of view. and also at the exact same time, to show you how we are developing this relationship on the ground forces, I had the real distinct honor of being able to jump into Poland with 40 IDF paratroopers on the first Israel participation on a U.S. maneuver exercise. So that's a big deal. I mean, obviously, the 70th anniversary of the State of Israel, jumping back into the heart of the Shoah. So there's an emotional side of it, but operationally, it shows how we are moving forward. I will take umbrage at what one of these brave entrepreneurs said in recommendations. He said, don't deal with the Army, don't deal with the Navy, don't deal with the Marine Corps, don't deal with the Navy, deal with the Special Operations community. And although I would say that's successful in the past, not only is the Special Operations community at the forefront of implementing equipment, their processes of implementing that equipment are now bleeding down into the conventional forces. So starting July 1st, the Army will have its most important overall Army change, and since about 1973, we're starting a new 4-star general command called Futures Command. I would say if you're an entrepreneur, get inside of that. It's going to be rough at first. I got it. And it won't be quite the same as the development that the SOCOM community has. But we are learning from that process, and we've learned hard in the last 15 years, and we're learning lessons from the way the Israelis do things about how to get an operator's experience, operational need assessment, back into the research and development and fielding in hours, days, weeks, vice decades that traditionally had happened. So I would say jokingly, still stay away from the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Air Force, because Secretary Esper and General Milley pay my paycheck, and that's called Army Green. So I welcome you to the U.S. Army. And on a serious note, your attaches here in this country are here to develop the relationship and expand that cooperative relationship. So again, I applaud the bravery, and please stay American with the cooperation. Thank you very much.
This is the time. That's the time.
Yeah.
No, that's enough. It's enough.
Okay, well then I guess I'll grab it then. Okay, we'll call the finalists up to stage. You get a photo op, certificate, and then we'll give you the cash. Third Eye, come on up. Third Eye, somebody, one representative, please, from each country. Cardio scale. Kalugu. Kalugu. DID. FinCom. Thank you. First Point Mobile. Endosol. RoboSleeve. Scipio. And Visites. Oops, sorry. Okay, Colonel, you want to do the handle the runner-up? This is the first runner-up. What's our prize, Gideon?
Just
Yeah, sure.